Hey, Queen. So, with this whole feminine energy trend, did you ever wonder if you need more feminine energy? Or maybe you need to dial it down? Or maybe you need to learn to balance it with masculine energy? Or do you need more dark feminine energy? Do you really know where you're at? So, if you kind of wonder this, with all the videos we see around and so on and so forth, let's talk about that. Okay. So, who needs more feminine energy? If you're someone who is maybe very successful, if you are that thing, if you're in hustle mode, if you work, if you have a tendency to want to be equal with men, if you have a tendency to want to pay your share, if you want to help men, if you want a man that is your partner rather than a husband, this video is for you. And you're someone who very likely needs more feminine energy. If you're someone who worries too much, are you a warrior? Not a warrior, but the type that worries a lot. If you worry a lot, if you have anxiety, and if you kind of fear uncertainty a lot, and you have issues sitting with not knowing what's next, and not fear of the dark, but fear of, you know, uncertainty. If you have a hard time leaning back and trusting and knowing that things will be okay, then you need to amp up your feminine energy in that regard. If you have anxiety, if you worry, if you lack faith, if you don't believe, if you're skeptical, you're lacking feminine energy. Because feminine energy is the frequency of hope, is the frequency of belief, and the frequency of why not. Okay? So, if you have a hard time receiving from the universe, from men, if you feel like you are alone, if you don't feel worthy of receiving all the gifts of the masculine, which is give it all to you. I mean, not all, but you know what I mean. So you need to step more into your feminine energy and learn the ongoing art of balancing feminine energy with your own masculine energy. Now let's talk about who doesn't need more feminine energy and who needs to amp up their masculine energy or learn to balance it. If you are a woman that, and let me just say, because I think there's a misconception that the more feminine you are, the better. Kind of like, oh, I want to be super feminine. Like, no, because being too feminine is boring. Too feminine doesn't command respect. Too feminine gets taken for a ride, abused. You know the abusive relationships? it's part of that, right? Why is it being too feminine like that problem? Because you need to have strategy, you need to have plans, you need to have um boundaries. You need to have a code of conduct, which is boundaries within yourself and with others. And when you are lacking structure, when when you just kind of wing it and go with the flow, yeah, like nonstop at all times, that's when it backfires. So if you're kind of like a bit chaotic, you don't have your life together, you are disorganized, you have a hard time, you struggle with money because you never really learned how to make money in a sustainable way, then if you this hair, man, it's crazy. If you were ever abused, if you, and I'm not talking about like I'm talking about just relationships where you were treated badly, it means that you were never able to access your dark feminine energy, which goes hand in hand with a balance of masculine energy, yeah? Because it is choosing yourself, the structure, the strategy, the plans, the boundaries, the logic that will allow you to choose yourself, to be authentic, to be courageous and say no, and to leave abusive relationships. So, like, how many times you hear that this girl, she didn't leave an abusive relationship because she couldn't, she had nowhere to go. She had nowhere to go because she never planned for a plan B. She never um, covered her ass pretty much. She she never had her own money. She was a woman child, sorry. Really and truly, that's what it comes down to. That you never knew how to protect yourself. So if you are the type that constantly struggles with money, making ends meet, if you don't really know how to take care of yourself and you're in the struggle life, well, in the struggle life in the sense that you never really got yourself really together, it's a sign that you need to amp up your masculine energy and dark feminine energy in parts of your life, right? Because you don't need masculine energy for every single thing, but you're constantly like accessing it when you need it. Even when you are with men, you need to have a degree of masculine energy, because if you're too soft, too light feminine energy, they're gonna get bored of you, they're gonna cheat on you, they're gonna take you for granted, yeah, because they need the spicy woman is not spicy fun. She's someone not to mess with. She's someone that commands respect. She's someone who earns the respect of people by choosing herself first, by respecting herself first, by being authentic. So all of that is only possible when you develop your masculine energy enough and you're able to pull that dark feminine energy. You understand there's a total balance of things in different moments and times, right? So the reason why I'm making this video is because it's such a trend. It's such a trend to like, oh, feminine. Yeah, women that are too masculine with men, they need that. Women that want to pay the bills, women that want to be 50-50, women that don't feel worthy of receiving the protection and provision of the man, they need feminine energy. If you have too much anxiety, if you don't trust, that kind of stuff, if you're worried about the future and everything else, you need more feminine energy. And I think all of us constantly need to be aware of that and amp that up to a degree, right? Because, for example, if I use myself as an example, I'm not always in full faith, full hope, full, trust and the natural, balance of things. I'm not always in that mode. Maybe like 90% of time, right? So I do constantly have to remind myself to step into that frequency of hope. So, you know, everyone has to be aware. And the whole purpose of all this stuff is to raise awareness within you and to do that inner work, right? That, that leads to that balance. If you need more masculine energy, you're going to have to do the inner work to face your fears, to get out there, to get things done. So not everyone needs to continuously dial up their feminine energy. Like a lot of women need to, you know, if you have issues with action, if you procrastinate, if you have a hard time taking action, you need more masculine energy. You need to step that up for that moment, for that project, for that thing, for that period in time or whatever. So, and I say this because sometimes a lot of women come to my practice for coaching and saying how much they want to be feminine and really kind of fixated on the whole feminine energy thing. But what is a blind spot that is very common is that, girl, you need to get your life together. We need to work on your level up. Not talking about your hair. We're talking about a level up in like energy balancing, yeah? Kind of like you need to get your life together and be a grown woman and all that stuff. So it is very common, right? Or even if you're someone who gets conned by men, or you feel like you've had issues, with men and stuff, you need to dial up your masculine energy and do the things that will allow you to not be afraid of being alone or making a move or dumping this guy, so on and so forth. But anyway, queens, I thought a lot of people need to hear this. Let me know if there's resonates. Let me know where you stand. Do you need more masculine energy or do you need more feminine energy? Let me know, and I'll see you on the next. Bye now.